Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Aspire for Excellence Foundation webinar series. This month, April, we will be considering a topic, the missing element in families. Okay, and it will be taken by no other than our speaker, Mrs. Salome Bari. Mrs. Salome has been on this webinar series in the past. I think precisely maybe August last year, she spoke to us, August last year, about raising children, our kids, something that had to do with the family and children. And again, we are blessed to have her again. So I will yield the floor now to um, Mrs. Buhari. Okay.
It's a privilege to be back. And the last time we met, we're talking about mentoring, having parents as mentors for their children. And today we have a very interesting topic, the missing element in families. And so this is a beautiful opportunity, not just for you, but for me as well, because each time that I get to speak, I get to learn more. And I know that any time that we have something to learn, it's an exciting time for the world because it's another opportunity to change and do things better. Okay, so I'm very interactive, and this session promises to be very interactive as well. I'd love us to always use the chat when we need to. I'll need our responses to make it, go very well. So yes, I have been introduced, and I'll say just a bit more that my full name is Salome Bari. I'm married to Pastor Olajide Bari. I'm a parenting partner, child educator, phonetician at I'm still studying as well in OAU, and I'm lecturing the use of English at Bafemi Awolowo University. I'm an etiquette consultant with my company, Blossom in Etiquette and Manners. I also founded Spark Foundation, which is an organization to teach English. It's called the English Center, and BMW Children's Club, which is Bible, Manners, and Worship Children's Club. All right. Next, I want to ask a question. Since our topic is the missing element in families, that's our topic. I'd like us to pay particular attention, and I would like us to know that we are going to be doing a lot of meditation as we progress, right? Why did you get married? If you have a notebook, please write your answers down. Why did you get married? Or if you're not yet married, why do you want to get married? What do you think is the main reason that makes people want to get married? Please, I need responses. You can use the chat, please. Use the chat. Tell me, even if it's not yours, what are the reasons you think, make people get married? Please use the chat box. Why do you want to get married, or why did you get married? I'll need our responses for us to move. Companionship, beautiful. Okay. I love that. Companionship. Yes, yes, yes. More responses. More responses. To help me fulfill my God-given vision. Wow. Awesome. Yes, next. Let's have a few more responses. Let's have a few more responses for companionship to fulfill God's vision. Okay. Somebody said working togetherness to achieve goals. Okay. Thank you. All right. I asked someone the other day and she said for children. So I'll add that to it. She got married for children. I'll add that to this. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, the people that we're talking to right now are the people that are qualified enough to get married, for those that have even gotten married, right? And one thing we need to know is you don't get married if you have not found purpose, if you have not found your identity, if you don't know who you are, you don't know why you are here on earth, then marriage is not for you, because it's going to be a calamity if someone that doesn't know that lacks self identity, that lacks purpose in life, goes into marriage. There would be no joining. If you don't know who you are and what your purpose is, then marriage is not for you. Now, I'm talking to married people. Most people married, and those that are not yet married will be married soon. So I would like to say that that is the foundation on which we are building this topic tonight. And I will talk to the men first of all, that a strong foundation for a home is built by the man. It's arguable, right? Yes, it's arguable, but it's true. Who builds? The man builds. And what is the tool for building? Love. You make the grass green so that your wife and children can lie down. That's why I subtitle this the green grass. The green grass. When the grass is green, the sheep can find good pasture. And for the home, the man is the head. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm drawing inspiration from God, who is the source of the home, who is the founder of the family. All right. So let's move on. Let's move on. I have a story to tell. Story time. Those other things you wrote down, don't worry, I'm going to use them. So we are going to come back. We are going to come back to this. We have a story. Let's see the flashback. I'll read it out as you follow. Amaka and Jesse had always dreamt of being medical doctors from their teen years. So when they finally became doctors, it was a dream come true for them and their families. They fell in love with the love of their lives, a TDH kind of prescription. Ladies, you know what TDH is, right? Tall, dark, handsome, right? Amaka's TDH was 2 years her senior, and they had met at the university. Jessie settled down with her childhood friend, and they all hoped to live happily married ever after. Now, 2 years later, both ladies got pregnant and had antenatal sessions together. My slides, please. 2 years later, both ladies got pregnant and had antenatal sessions together when they were in their second trimesters. They saw at the hospital, so they had a lot of gist to share with each other. How marriage had been rosier than they thought. Amaka in particular had fears, which made her avoid any kind of relationship until she met her husband. But the love that she had been experiencing from her husband dazed her. So she was hoping that she would give birth to a boy that would be exactly like her husband, right? Because he was so loving. We're still on 2 years later. And the next time Amaka and Jesse saw, after that 2 years, the first 2 years, was at the immunization center. Their babies were almost one, so they have put to bed, and their babies were almost one. They went for immunization and they saw each other. Both ladies were looking beautiful, but Jessie thought that she saw some sad lines on Amaka's face. Meanwhile, Amaka was also observing Jessie and noticed that she was not her cheerful self again. What happened? She waited patiently for the session to be over and offered to give her a ride home after convincing her not to call the cab that was to pick her up. She just wanted to have some time with her, not knowing that Jessie also wanted to catch some time with her. Now, when they entered into the car, the first question was, "How are you?" Right? They said it's at the same time together. As soon as they got, and they laughed out. But Jessie went first. She complained of her busy schedule and then her husband's job. He was always traveling and didn't have the time for them. This month he was in Owerri. Next month he was in Abuja. He was always calling, of course, but she missed him and it wasn't the same. He was always calling. She was lucky to have gotten a crèche not far from the hospital where she worked. You know, she's a doctor, as we said. So she would drop her child off and pick him up and route the hospital. She was thinking of taking a short break from her career to get things right at the home front. Amaka, on the other hand, had tears in her eyes. There was no way she was going to consider leaving her career. For what? After all the years she spent getting prepared to be a medical doctor. She told her tale too. Anyway, she said that her husband was against having house helps, and that was her problem. She was stuck with house chores, taking care of her baby, going to the market, going to work. Her husband was in pediatrics, and the hospital was short staffed, so he was barely home. Right now, 6 years later, Amaka had survived that period, what we talked about before, by getting a house help who did not live in. She came in Wednesdays and then she would work and go back, and then she would come during the weekends. While Jessie, who wanted a break, she wanted to take a break from her career, did not take a break eventually. Her husband stopped that job and he started a business that would give him more time for the family. But now, 6 years later, they were faced with other challenges. Amaka's child was undergoing therapy from speech delay. What should we tell them? What's our counsel? Before we move to the next slide, let's stay here. I want to hear from you. What would you counsel them to do at this point? Now, this is where you come in. Please use the chat. What would you counsel these two ladies at this point? Because this is marriage, and marriage is supposed to be, a paradise or an institution that we grow up in, or however you have defined marriage. Now they were having issues. They started off all in love. Oh, I'm head over heels in love. And now this is what is happening. What should they do? What should they do? I'll be looking out for your charts. What should they do? Do they have to leave work for things to get better? Do they have to? What should they do? Amaka's child is undergoing therapy. She's still a doctor. She's still crying for time. Her husband is still not at home. Any chat yet? No chat yet. Okay. I'm looking out for your chats. I'm looking out for your chats. What should they do? What should they do? They have to get counseling. Okay? Because things are not going as well as it should. Okay? Now, I would like to say that many families are like these two families. Some will struggle to the point of getting a solution, but others will keep going and keep striving and keep moving, trying to see what they can do about it. Excuse me. They hurt themselves in the process, but their aim, their focus might have been wrong from the onset. What did they get married for? Let's see this video on the next slide. Let's check out this video on the next slide. I can't hear it, or is it just me?
Was anybody able to hear it?
No, I can't hear it either.
Wow.
No.
Nobody? Wonderful. Okay, let me try to play again, ma. But you were hearing it before when we tested it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me try again.
All right.
Confirm, can you hear?
Not yet.
No.
We did a test a few minutes ago and it worked. Let me.
It's just the video playing. The voice is not coming up.
Okay, let me try again. Let me stop presenting and let me come back. Okay.
All right.
Let me see. No. Okay. Let me try again, please. Let me see if it would work this time around. It did earlier on during the test. Okay, let me try again. Can you hear? Can you hear?
No.
No,
Negative,
sir.
negative. We can't hear.
Oh.
No, sir.
Okay, I think the video is coming up, but it's a bit slower than the video. It's slower.
Okay. Let me try it again. We ran a test some few minutes ago and it was working before. Let me try again. Let me try again. Let me see if I can put it in presentation mode and let me see if it will help. Okay.
All right, sir.
Sorry about this, please. We did a test just before the session. It worked well. Let me see. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we
Hello.
can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Can you hear?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
You've not played this yet, sir.
I am playing it. Okay, just hold on.
Okay. All right, sir.
Hold on.
All right.
Just hold on a bit. Let me try again.
So, what is your vision?
Can you hear it now?
Okay.
Can you hear?
Coming
Yeah,
up.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah, the voice is coming up now.
For the future, money. Like, what is that thing that you want to achieve in life? Money. Like, what is your real essence on earth? Money. Let's put the money aside. What else are you focused on? The money that you get aside.
All right, so that's all. I can
Okay.
replay it if you want.
Thank
It's
you,
funny.
sir. Now,
Please replay it here, please.
okay, please replace sir.
Money. I mean, what is your plan for the future? Money. Like, what is that thing that you want to achieve in life? Money. Like, what is your real essence on earth? Money. Let's keep the money aside. What else are you focused on? The money that you get aside.
All right. Thank you, sir. Back to the slides. Now, if if the home is patterned after this kind of vision, then things will go wrong because our focus, our goal, our mission will determine our priorities. Or should the question have been, the money would be for what? Or is it the money will be to get more money? Because every other thing was money. But the way that the vision that we have for our families will determine how we invest our time, how we invest our money, how we invest our affection. We want to check out another story from War Room. There's another video we need to play right now. What I want us to pay attention to is the attitude and the words of the girl. It's a short video, but look out for what the girl would say, the little girl. Please play, sir. Can we see the slides? Can we all see the slides, please?
No.
Because I can't see it.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Hello, sir. Please, could you present it again so we can start up from this? Yes. Okay. I think because when it was playing that, we didn't see the slides, but we heard the audio. Now we cannot hear the audio of this.
Do well.
All right, I'll play
We
it
can't get
again.
the
Now.
audio of this, sir.
Okay, let me
Is
stop
it because
and
the
let me start
audio
again.
of what you are using
Okay,
to present, the laptop, is the audio turned on?
yes, it's
Could
on.
it be the
It's
reason?
exactly no, it's exactly the same way I did the first one. Let me do it again. I'm presenting again, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
Confirm you can see the
Okay.
screen, please.
Yes, we can.
All right, let me play the video now.
All right.
You can check it account. Can we talk about this later? You must.
Confirm you can hear.
Well, it's so good to meet you. Let me show you the house.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
It's my favorite place in this house. I call it my war room. It prepares for each area of your life. Prayer strategy. I sure could use some of that. Oh, you should go see your practice tomorrow. I'm out of town this week. When were you going to tell me? I've been dead. No, that was my favorite rep. Real good.
I wish I lived at your house. Whenever my parents are together, just fight.
Ooh, I can't get a pass from you. It'd be easier to baptize a cat. I just need you to blow off a little single thing. There's one thing we do well. It's fight. You do not want 1.3 to break out. No, I don't.
Okay, that's
Okay,
it.
thank you. That's okay. We will play another video soon, but let's discuss before we play the next video. What the little girl was saying is that she was telling her friend that she prefers to stay at her house, that at her own house, all her parents do is fight. And the wife was also telling the husband that what we do well is to fight. That fighting might not be physical, right? Disagreements over little things, flimsy things, either big things or small things. And we're going to talk about where this disagreement is coming from. But how did things turn around? Because the man of that home, Mr. Jordan, was too busy. He was busy here this today, busy here tomorrow. His work was taking him everywhere. He barely had time to attend to his daughter's school activities. He didn't even know her. He didn't even know best sports, or he wasn't spending so much time with them. But then something happened. He lost his job and he got changed in that process. God used that losing of job to humble him, and then things turned around. Now, I used that clip to teach how parents can instill confidence into their children. Please watch this other clip. It's very short slide. There's no, yes, please, sir. Go ahead, sir.
You know what? I thought your jump rope routine was going to be something simple. But it wasn't. It's pretty difficult. But you were really good, Danielle. I was impressed. Really good.
Thanks. Wow.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. So we move on to the next slide quickly. How did they get to that other point? How did they get there? The man suddenly had the time, right? He started paying attention to the girl, and a lot changed for them. A lot changed for them. Children with absent parents may experience a range of emotional and behavioral issues, from low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, to difficulty in building relationships. Our children deserve better. don't they? It has been also, this other quote on the next slide says, good bonds help children cope with all kinds of stress, by Mady Robson. Also, we have on the next slide, where your treasure is, there your time is. What claims your time as a parent? Now, this is not one formal. I'm talking like this in the form of storytelling, in form of chatting, like we're gisting and playing videos, so that it sinks into us. It sinks that there is a missing element in many families, and we need to check. We need to check our families. We need to check ourselves to see that the environment is right, that the grass is green enough for the children to flourish. I'm a child educator, and my focus majorly is children. But here, we're talking about marriage affecting the children. The missing element of homes, in many homes. If you ask many people can even tell you money, like that's what that guy the other time, right? Everything is money. But most people say that it's love that is missing, right? While I was preparing for this, of course, I knew, okay, yes, love, but I wanted to test it out. So I asked a lot of people. I asked people on young couples, older couples, and love. The question, the statement kept coming, love is missing in many homes. Now, in this definition of love, we have different aspects to talk about, because some people think that love is this mushy, oh my God kind of feeling, and oh my, I have butterflies in my tummy here and there. What is love, basically? Let's look at a part of love called agreement. Agreement in the home. It sounds very simple and easy, but it is extremely complex, because agreement goes beyond words. Developing the skill sets needed to agree and to remain agreed till the manifestation of the object of the agreement is not so simple. The art of agreement is foreign, is alien to mankind, but it's not impossible. We will need to train ourselves, right? Next slide, please. Have you noticed that there is a whole lot that takes place just to make sure that agreement is not existent in couples? You would imagine that a man and wife, they would say something now, and before you know it, there's disagreement. The aim is to make sure that that thing they are agreeing upon would not come to pass. Many times, couples disagree on very flimsy issues, and later on, or maybe a third party would start to wonder, like, is it this thing that they are quarreling about? But since you are not in the picture, you wouldn't really know. It wouldn't tell, just as it's telling on them. But we majorly do not see the breakbacks that stop us from seeing the end game. Agreements have gestation periods. Next slide. Like many pregnancies. So when a couple agree, for example, let me use an example from prayer. When they agree in prayer that, okay, Lord, we need a plain blue car. They have agreed. They are trusting God for a plain blue car. But maybe 15 minutes later, the wife remembers that, that's something that beat her the other day was blue. She doesn't really like blue like that. Blue is a bad color. And then she doesn't tell her husband, but in her mind, in her heart, she already says she doesn't want a plain blue anymore. She wants sky blue or deep blue or something. She doesn't tell her husband, but it has been edited or deleted. So when God comes to, okay, let me check, or angels are ministering and they try to check to deliver that parcel, they see that there's no agreement anymore. Where can two work together except they agreed? And there's also another verse that says, whatever two people agree on earth, if two people can agree on a matter, that it will come to pass. But most times you don't see that, because the agreement is always edited or deleted even before the manifestation of that agreement. Are we together? Now, agreement takes place in the heart, not just with the words, not just with the handshake. In etiquette, we call handshake as a sign of agreement. But beyond agreement, It starts from the heart. It starts from the heart in here. The thoughts of the heart. When the couple, when the man and the wife, when they agree on certain things at home, how do they act it out later on? Have we agreed on how to discipline our children? So does the other person go around doing something the other way, not following the agreements? It will disrupt a lot of things. And children are smart. They always know when the parents are together on a particular issue, right? So can agreements between the man and wife affect the children? Next slide, please. Can agreements between the man and wife affect the children? In capital letters, yes. It dictates the atmosphere in the home because you both need to agree on house chores. You need to agree on the screen time for the children. You need to agree on how to discipline the children. So if you do not have one mind on issues, the children would know. And if you have one mind, the children will know. So they know that if they tell mommy this, they just know that daddy will not agree to this, but mommy will, right? It's not supposed to be so. We need to be one in making decisions in the home. How does it affect the children? Next slide. Spiritually, emotionally, socially, it affects children. Because of time, I'm moving quickly. I move on to the next slide. When people talk about love, a lot of things would come up. Some people say philia. There are different types of love. Philia, like brotherly love. Pragma, storge, like the one that the love between parents and children. There is self-love. There is eros love. Eros has to do with emotions, emotional love. We have ludus. We have mania. Mania is bad. That's obsessive kind of love. But there is one called agape. Agape love is the sacrificial love. Is the selfless love. Okay. And next slide, we have the different components of that agape. Agape does not work on feelings or on butterflies in my tummy kind of love. Agape works with wisdom. It works with understanding. It works with patience. It works with knowledge. It works with endurance. It works with peace. Agape is selfless love, not expecting anything in return. And we don't say that because we don't expect anything in return, then the husband can do what he likes, right? After all, my wife loves me and does not expect anything in return. No. Agape is supposed to be, if we're talking about the couple, it's two-sided, right? The man loves the woman selflessly, the woman loves the man selflessly. And I told you I drew my definition of love from God. And we're looking at I got the characteristics of love from 1 Corinthians 13. Next slide. It said, love never gives up. Love is not jealous. Love does not easily fly off the handle. That means you do not easily get angry. Any little thing, you just get angry. When you are easily irritable like that, any little thing, you get irritated. That happens with strangers, right? That happens with strangers. If you are true lovers, if you are friends, that's another word, connected to love, friendship. Where's the friendship in homes? Where's the friendship between the man and the woman? Where's the friendship? That thing that they were feeling at the beginning, 2 years, 6 years down the line. Many people do not get to preserve that. 10 years, 20 years, the children have gone to school. There's no gist, there's no play, there's nothing, and everywhere is just dry. No. If we are talking about agape kind of love, we are friends. We remain friends. And even when children have come and gone, we remain friends. In the good times and the bad times, we are friends. I continue with the characteristics. Love is kind. Love is not boastful. It's not irritable. It does not keep a score of sins of others. Women have a soul to keep records. I'm sorry, ladies, but generally, that is what you did yesterday. I'm doing it again. After all, the man has actually apologized that he's sorry, right? But true love, agape love would forgive. And we need to check the foundation of our love and the type of love that we are exhibiting. Okay? Next slide. When strangers stay together and call it marriage, it's very awful. Because you can't claim to love someone or to be someone's spouse, right? In quotes, and not take time to know the person. And you say, oh, I already know her. No. It takes time to know somebody. And you can be in the marriage for 20 years and you're still knowing the person. You're still loving the person. The more you know, the more you love, right? love languages, yes, there's something called love language that you need to know how your wife appreciates love. You need to know how your wife wants to be loved. You need to know how your husband wants to be loved. Like some people, there's no I love you that would work except you give them gifts, right? Their love language is gifts. Another couple would not be like, or another person will not be like that. That one might be touch, might be sex, right? So if you say I love you until you come touch me, I'm not really feeling that love. For another person, it's just spending time together, just gisting, just laughing, right? So we have different kinds of love languages, but the major thing about any other type of love language, you can't stay in Sokoto and be sending me gifts and say, I love you, and for 2 years, 3 years, we've not seen, or 3 months or 2 weeks. The major thing we need to do in families, no matter your love language, is spend quality time together, right? Spend time on things that are important. And that is the mantra. What you consider important, you create time for. All right, let's move to the next slide, please. See these people on the screen. The man holding a phone, the woman holding a phone. This is very common. I teach soft skills. Soft skills is basically skills that help people interact, right? Like communication, like problem solving, like thinking, like sharing, caring. If we are not careful, this generation we can be in the same room, on the same chair, and we are chatting. We can't open our mouths to talk. It is going to be adversely affecting the youth, the people coming up. And we as the leaders in our home, we have to be mindful of this. When it's screen time, let it be screen time. When it's talk time, when it's gist time, let it be gist time. Do we have gist time in the house? Do we have time where we come together as a family and discuss things? We check up on what's going on here and there. These things are important. We need to have times where we need to check technology. Technology is very good, no doubt. Useful for the wife, useful for the husband, useful for the children, but we need to strike a balance. Next slide. What you consume affects you. Now, some people go like, okay, we are using the technology together, so let's watch movies together. And they can watch movies every day. There are movies to watch, and those movies, the content of those movies would not help the healthy development in the home. There are all sorts of things from Telemundo or whatever. These things are not helpful. If you can even say, okay, I want to leave, like the speech therapy that's that lady from that story was addressing. It wouldn't have happened. The child wouldn't have needed therapy if the child had adequate attention. But the child was being put in front of the TV screen for 2 years, every day. Even the crèche that the woman was taking the child to, that's all they do in the crèche. They just put them in front of the TV. There's no interaction. There's no FaceTime. There's no calling. And that's why that child had speech delay and needed attention as the time. Not all speech delays are related to TV, mind you, but that can cost it a lot. I've had speech therapies with a few people recently, and I always try to trace it to the first 2 years, the use of technology, and we see that we are actually doing more harm than good to the young ones, right? So we need to pay attention to what our children consume. If we love them, we need to be mindful enough to be engaged in their lives as well. We need to take screen time to the barest minimum and introduce them to some children. They just want to be glued to the screen 247. It is not healthy. It's not healthy academically because some people can't think. I've met teenagers. I'm having classes with them and I'm asking you this, and something that you can just tell me. You want to check Google. It's not helpful. We have raising a generation of young people that cannot use their brains. They can't meditate. They can't use their minds. They can't think up. They can't engage in meaningful conversations. And that is not healthy. And it starts from the home. We need to address it in our own lives, in our own spheres. The next slide shows a research that was conducted in Nepal, right? And it investigated different families. It investigated many families for 12 years, right? So from day 1 to the last day of 12 years, they were being investigated, and their aim was to check the effect of love in home. After the researchers speculated that when parents love each other, they tend to invest more in their children. True or false? True. And it leads to the children remaining in education longer. True or false? True. The children's home environment may also be happier when parents report loving each other. When the parents are always fighting, the environment cannot be conducive. The environment cannot be happy it's not conducive for the raising of children. Children may also view their parents as role models, and they want to take longer to get married so they can get that type of man, not people running away from the home to say, I've escaped my parents, I've escaped the house. No, our children should see the home as a paradise, as a haven where they are being groomed, where they can always, not like they would linger and not want to leave when they are supposed to, but that adverse effect should be off our homes. And it takes us, it takes you, it takes me, it takes us to make that decision right now to say, okay, I want to do better for my children. I want to lay a good foundation for my children. I want to lay not just a good spiritual foundation, but a mental foundation, social interactive foundation for my children. And it starts with me. I can't cut down my children's screen time when I'm always on the phone from morning till evening. I'm impacting them. I'm anointing them with that kind of lifestyle, which is not healthy. Next slide is to get us to make deliberate connections. Deliberately make out time to show love to your partner. Let the children feel the love in the home from your words and your actions. You can grow your friendship by encouraging healthy communication between you both, between the husband and the wife. Listen. You don't listen by saying, okay, I've heard you. No. When you're listening, your eyes, we should have eye contact. Yes, when you're listening to me, there should be eye contact. When you're listening to me, you should pause from what you're doing, not like you are engaged and you're looking somewhere, I'm talking to you, and okay. Show respect for your partner by stopping what you're doing to pay attention to them. It goes a long way to listen from the heart. That's what we call active listening. All right. So let's practice this as a good communicative skill in the home. Now, the willingness to sacrifice comes with friendship. I might not want to sacrifice for somebody that is not my friend, that I do not know. But if we are good friends, and let me tell you that even if you are not a very good friend to your spouse, from today you can start doing that. You can start building that. That would actually make the home conducive enough for you to want to, spend time, invest time in. Not that everybody is running off like that other guy for money every time, and the home is suffering, the children are suffering. We need to make deliberate attempts, make sacrifices for our children. We have this right. I want to be right all the time. The man wants to be right, the woman wants to be right, and that sacrifice of, okay, let me give up my right of being right, okay? Because that is something that would happen in friendship. I don't want to claim being right and then I spoil the chances of having a better relationship in the friendship box. Work out. Look for activities to engage in together. Work out, pray together, play together, take a walk, visit the zoo, museum, wherever you want to get the children involved, and you would see that life will become a very beautiful experience. I hope that you have gotten one or two things from all that I've said so far, but I'd like to end with this short video. Let's check this out, and we will discuss what this could do for children. The slide before this, please. Yes, no? Before, where I wrote, check this out. Okay, that's a video. Those are the parents in the home. We can't hear the audio, but it's okay because we can see the actions. Okay, that's another set of children. And the last set, yes. Okay. The girl forgot that she was playing a game. Okay, so if we have families, that actually deliberately take out time to do this. Do you know how healthy these children would grow up to be? They would, their mental faculties would be intact. Their social relationships would be intact. They would know how to laugh. They would know how to love. They would know how to relate to others. They would be healthy enough to think through things, to relate even with their books. You know, everything is not about reading. Have you read your book? Have you read your book? No, there are other activities that will support that cognitive development. And these are the times when the grass is green, the plants would grow well. When the grass is green, there would be pleasure. There would be enough, the atmosphere will be conducive enough for healthy growth. And this has brought us to actually the end of this session. Yes, I hope that you have actually grabbed all that I wanted you to grab. What is the missing element in homes? You can say love, but you cannot just say love and not define that the love you're talking about is a mature kind of love. That the love you're talking about is the love that works with knowledge, that works with understanding, that works with wisdom. The love that will sit to make decisions and say, okay, I'm not putting myself first. I need to consider my partner. The love that will sit down to say, okay, this was hurtful, but I forgive because of the purpose of our home. What's the purpose of your home? What's driving you as a person? Then what's driving you as a family? That will determine how you invest. How would you know the potential of your child if you do not invest time in, spending time with your children, in finding out what they are good at? If you find out what they're good at, then you'll be able to nurture them, nurture that aspect of them, right, into doing well. Like the man from War Room, he didn't know that his daughter was very good in sports until he lost his job, until he had time to start attending practice with the child, right? And he was wondering, like, oh my God. And that is not just a movie. It happens. Real life. It happens. So you cannot say that you love your family, you love your wife, you love your children, and you do not deliberately spend time. Yes, please ask your questions in the chat box. You do not deliberately spend time. If you spend time with your children, you invest in them, right? That's what comes up with knowing someone. I invest my time in you. I know you more. I love you more, and then I would be affected by you more, or you will be affected by me more. And the next slide we have there is something that I want us to do together, CTA, our call to action from this meeting. Your change is in your daily routine. So a lot of people would I want to change, but that change is in the routine. It's what you do today and say, okay, I do this today, I do it tomorrow. That's where change comes from. I'd like us to adjust our routine just a bit for the sake of our families, to have wholesome, healthy families. Can we just write down something that we would love to start doing from today? Because I know that this meeting was meant to improve our lives and bring a positive change. I don't want us to just have the meeting and then just leave and say, okay, we're finished for this month. No. Can we write down something that we would want to do? You don't have to write it in the chat box. You can write it in your notes, right? But I want you to write down something that you want to start doing from today, an activity that you want to start doing from today in your home, a particular time you want to make out and say, no matter how busy my life is, I want to do this with my kids every week. I want to do this with my family every month. Please write that down. When you are done writing it, just in the chat box, write done. When you are done making that decision, in the chat box, write done, so that we know that we are done with today's session. Is anybody with me on this? Okay, great. More responses. So I know that we were following and that we're making up our minds to, thank you very much. We're making up your minds to take a deliberate action from today. Okay? Thank you very much. I can see responses coming in. I see responses coming in. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, my wonderful audience. Thank you. I believe that this meeting would be productive. It will be productive. Every word that I have spoken would yield 100%, not just 30, not just 60, 100%. The simple words that have gone forth will come back with manifold fruits, and every desire in your heart for your family will come to pass. Okay, you will not give up the health, the good in your home for money. While you make impact, while you are doing what you need to do and you are focusing on the purpose that God has given you, that money will chase you. Okay, so we don't live for money. We don't live our lives for money. We do what we have come here to do, and we would have other things in abundance. All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Mike, for this opportunity. I'm grateful, and I hope to be back sometime again soon to see our faces and to fellowship with us on this platform. And for now, it is thank you from me.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Please, could you use the emojis we have on your screen and say a big warm aspire for X beautiful. A number of people have started saying thank you. So thank you very much. If you've listened to this and if you've been affected in one way or the other, please encourage our speaker tonight by telling her thank you. If you have any questions to ask, place your questions in the chat box also. We will be calling them in the order in which the questions are there. You could also raise your hands up and we could call you in the order in which your hands came up. Madam, wonderful. This is mind-blowing. Thank you, and thank you once again. As usual, I like to give a recap. Thank you. I like to give a recap of what we have learned so far. Some people even came in just a few minutes ago. So I will give a recap, and from there we can take the questions. The title of this talk, it's the missing element in families. And you began by asking a question on why did you get married? What is the purpose for getting married? And you started also by saying a strong foundation for a home is built by the man. And you also went ahead to talk about the green grass theory. When the home is built, the wife and the children, they can lie down and eat, I would say, grass or pasture. Here, I think it's giving the connotation of the man being the shepherd of the home and providing green grass for the family. You also went forward to give the analogy, the storylines of Amaka and Jesse, both professionals, medical doctors, who worked and who were really, really busy. Amaka, on her hand, she had a husband who is not usually at home, who is usually very busy, had a child therapy issues also. Jesse also had something, also a challenge. and did not also like to take breaks. A medical doctor, really very busy. Actually, it goes to say that every family has their own type of challenge. It must not be the same, but different families have different challenges. And you went ahead to say, what would be our counsel? What would we advise them? Okay. You played a number of videos. The first video is, what is your vision? And there were about 4 or 5 questions. And the answer was money, 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 money. And they say, if you remove everything else, apart from everything, what else? You say, that money you remove is the one I want to go. And you went ahead to say that that's not really the main focus. Our mission ought to be our priorities. The second video was a clip from the war room where the older woman was mentoring the younger woman who had some challenges in her marriage. And she said, this is my war room. This is where I pray. This is where I handle the issues. And you went ahead also to talk about the child, what the child was saying to her friend, that she prefers to stay at her friend's house because of the peace, the love they have there, rather than her house. And you said what we do well, because you said in the video, they were saying what they do well was to fight, and it mustn't be physical, it may be disagreement. However, reprieve came in the home when Mr. Jordan, who was too busy, he didn't have time for school activities for the children. They were not spending enough time together. He eventually lost his job. And thankfully, I would say things turned around for him and for his family because of the time he began to spend. You went ahead to tell us about 3 ways to build love in the family. 3 ways to build love in the family. You began by saying first is praise, that we need to praise our children. The second thing you said is exposure. We need to give our children exposure. Mr. Jordan took the child for a sporting event. I think it was basketball or something like that. And eventually the girl started saying that I am proud of my daddy. The third thing you said on the way to build the children is to show love to the children. And you said children with absent parents, those children, they present a range of problems. And you said good bonds help children to cope with whatever challenges they have, especially adolescents. And you asked a question, you said, what claims your time? And you said developing the skill set needed to agree and stay agreed till the manifestation of the object of agreement is essential. Actually, what you were saying is that agreement is sacrosanct for the home to be united and for peace and love to be at home and for the children to develop as well-rounded children who are beneficial not only to their parents, not only to as citizens of their country, but to the world at large. You went ahead and said agreement has a gestation period, and agreement is not just in the head, but agreement must take place in the heart. It goes beyond shaking hands together. Then you said, can family agreement affect children? And you said emphatically and a resounding yes. And how does it affect children? You said it affects children spiritually, it affects children emotionally, and it even affects children physically and in their health. The next slide talked about different kinds of love. There are different kinds of love, which I think there are about 8 or 9 different kinds of love. I used to hear about 4 of them, but I hear of mania, I hear of lupus. I'm learning different kinds of love here tonight. Thank you very much, Ma. It was quite instructive. The next slide talks about the components of agape love. You said it's peaceful, it's sacrificial, it's full of patience and understanding. There were other things you talked about, characteristics of agape love. Then you went further and talked about 1 Corinthians 13, the definition of love. Okay, and you said to ask a question, what is your spouse's love language? You said different spouses have different love languages, and we need to know this love language of our spouse if we need to reach out to them. Okay, you said some spouses love gifts, some love quality time, some love touch, some love time together, some love sex, different kind of things you have said. But we need to find out what is the love language of our spouse and eventually do that. In any case, you said spending quality time together is good. Then you talked about checking technology, that we could be in the same home, but we can all be on the same dining table with our phones and the rest of that. and that is to be discouraged. And you asked, do we have gisting times? Okay. Okay. I know of thinking times, but I didn't know about gisting times. Okay. Thank you about that. And you said, how do your children consume TV? Okay, that was a slide on watching the way the children consume TV. And you went ahead and gave a research, a 12 years research that was carried in Nepal on the investigation in the family, on the investigation of how love affects the home. And we found out that love makes the children happier, it makes them want to remain in the home, and the children eventually become better. And you went ahead to say, deliberately make out time to show love to your partner. And you said we need to do what is called active listening. Not listening with our phones in our hands. We need to listen with our eyes. We need to make eye contact. We need to pause and deliberately stop what we are doing whenever we are listening to our spouses. You talked about making deliberate connections, and also said there must be willingness to sacrifice. You said look out for activities to do together. Okay, there was a last video that had to do with a family playing a simple game, this XYX games that we play. And you said we need to play together, work together, do separate things together. You ended by a CTA, a call to action. And you said, what would you like to adjust in your routine from today to capture what you have learned? I have written some myself. At least I have a minimum of 2 here myself. Okay. And I just really want to thank you for taking our time. So now the bouquet or the bar is open for questions. Let me see. I will start with the first question that we have here. A lot of people are saying, thank you, Ma, thank you, very helpful. I start with the first question by Cornelius. Ma, you have made us understand this evening that it is actually possible to enjoy heaven on earth in our homes. Thanks, Ma. God bless you and your family in Jesus' name. This is from Ido.
Amen.
Okay. Alalibo here says, thank you for the presentation. How long does it take to know a spouse after marriage? I think men take longer to make decisions. Wives should not influence decisions of couples with the words, we agreed too fast. We have not agreed, please. It takes time and we need to feel safe before taking decisions. So what's your take on this, Ma?
Yes, agreement should be two-sided, right? 1 and 2, not one person agreeing for the other person. And if you are not feeling insecure, there's no problem with you waiting till the other person agrees, except it's a do or die affair or something instantaneous that really needs attention at the moment. Some things can wait for the other person to be really into that decision, right? So wives, let's be it's not just wives, sometimes it's the other way. Sometimes it's the man sometimes it's the woman that is taking her time to wanting to make that decision, to understand the why. There's a thing called knowing your why, right? There's a thing called knowing your why. You're asking questions to know why before you can actually commit to it. So even in that process of waiting for that decision, sometimes you're asking questions and the other person is not willing to respond, trying to be suspicious and all that. Remember that we are supposed to be good friends in marriage. So if we are good friends and we want to ask questions, let it be for clarity and let the other person be willing to divulge information. Let the other person be willing to carry the other person along, right? To take off any suspicion that could be. How long does it take to know a spouse? Wow. You cannot say that you have fully known a spouse in even 10 years, right? Marriage is a school that you come into and you do not get a certificate, right? Except some people going out for divorce. But the way it was designed, you come in, you get a certificate, welcome, but you do not get one to go out, right? Except death. Now, you come into wanting to know the person. So you cannot get to a point where you say, I have known this person fully. Or if it is preparation to get married, right? If it's preparation to get married, like, okay, I want to get married. How long do I need to be in courtship with this person before I know that I have fully known the person enough to get married. Some people can pretend, and even if you court for 2 years, you would not get that thing, right? So be prayerful, connect with that person, spend quality time so that you can get the person in different situations, right? There might be a time when the person can respond in a way that you would notice some things, or there might be some conversation that would bring up some information that you have been looking to get, but you haven't really known how to get it. So a lot of conversations would help. A lot of activities would help in getting to know someone. I think I have answered that question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma. There is another question we have in the chat box. Is there a phase in a home where one spouse needs to pause from work or career or take a break in order to give the kids more attention in their developmental stage between ages 3 to 7 years?
I should say yeah, and I might say no. It depends on the family. It depends on the structure that you have. It depends on the kind of work you are doing. And developmental stages even start from as soon as the child is born, not necessarily 3. From 0 till 5, those years are critical. And then you can add up to 7, 8. But that 0 to 5, most people do not pay attention to that 0 to 5 or 0 to 2. Meanwhile, they are very critical. So what many people do in crèches these days is, okay, I need to go to work, so I take my child to a crèche. Not knowing that the crèche is not really, they're not really engaging your child. A child is that little, and the child needs interactions. Those children need to have eye contact with mothers, with their guardians, or whoever is taking care of them. Those children need to, they learn by exchange, right? That's what we call exchange in learning. I give you, you give me. It's my turn, it's your turn. We call it serve and return, right? So those things are really critical for children. There is a point where if the home is too busy an atmosphere, one person might decide to take a break to attend to the children. It is not good to leave children unattended to, or to others, or to the TV can train your children for you. And there is a lot going on the screen or on YouTube or anywhere right now. There are sexual predators everywhere. There is all sorts of evil content out there targeted at influencing your children. So if there's nobody monitoring them, right? Now, even that screen time you give, if you bring down screen time to 3 hours a day or to 2 hours a day, you still need to, then there needs to be parental or adult supervision. Maybe it's an older sibling watching with them or a parent watching with them to make that TV screen time interactive time. So it is wrong for a child to just sit down in front of the TV without interaction. There's a way you can watch TV and it will be very productive. Okay, like you are watching and the children are counting blocks while there's a program about counting going on. But for a child to sit down and just look at the TV, passive TV time, that is not healthy for the children. Okay, I think I'm going away from the question. Let me get back. Should one of the either husband or wife take some time? If they are too busy, yes, they need to. And it's not just the woman. The man can as well. It depends on the two of them. It depends on agreements. That's why we say agreement is very key in friendship, key in the home. If two of them are working together, there's no competition, right? Two of them are working together for the good of the home. They know that, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Who needs to concentrate on this right now? And the person that is at home, it's not necessary that, it's not like you're not going to do any other thing. It depends on you and your home. Sometimes we get to say, okay, the other person is doing it like this, or this is how this is what the society expects of us. Okay, the man is supposed to be working what if it is the woman that is working at that point and the man needs to sacrifice that time to groom the children? Okay, so it depends on the home. It depends on you and your wife, and the way you want to run it is definitely up to you. But just have that at the back of your mind, that your children need you at every stage in their lives, especially when they're young. Thank you very much for that question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma. If you want to receive the slides, I will be sharing them on the Aspire for Excellence Foundation WhatsApp group. Please click on the link you have here. I'm going to share the slides, okay, after this meeting, probably sometime tomorrow. If you want to have the materials, click on it. You can join, and you will get this, okay. Once again, I want to thank you very much, Ma. I don't know if anyone has any other question. You could raise up your hand, and I could call you before we'll call it a night. But to me, I think it's a life-changing session. Like I told someone asked me, he said, why are we considering this topic now? He said it's a departure from what we used to do. We've been doing a lot of things. I said, well, in life, you usually like a football pitch. You go a lot on the offensive. Sometimes you forget your defense. You may be conquering mansions and conquering several lands, only to come back home and to find out that there is no longer any home to come back to. And I told the person today that that's the reason why I felt it was important to do this. And really, madam, you've done justice to this. Thank you very much. You've impacted a lot of lives, I think more than you could probably ever imagine. So does anyone have any question? Does anyone want to speak up? Could you raise your hand up before we call it a night? There are no questions in the chat box. So I want to see if anyone has his or her hands up. Anyone? You know how to raise your hand, right? It's like this, just like this. There is a small button with the palm of the hand, just there, in case you want to. But if there is none, then probably we'll need to call it a night. Thank you very much, Ma. And I would like to thank everyone who has taken out time to come here this evening. I'll share the materials, and I pray that we'll have more healthy families, bring up more healthy children, and children that will make a difference in this generation. Thank you all for taking out time to come, and may God bless you all, and may we have very good and happy families. So please